guys, so today I'm going to be walking you through how to set up your shareable pitch deck. I'm doing this myself as well today, how to set up a data room, apply for SEIS, track conversations with investors for your raise, either if it's a seed round from angels or friends and family. And I have with me here today Johnny from SeedLegals, as that is a platform of choice that I'm going with. And Johnny is the head of investor partnerships, and he has helped so many companies raise how much is it? Around 100?
Somewhere around 100 mil, a little bit here and there.
So the perfect man to be walking us through this today. Perfect. So I am just going to log into the platform. First thing on SeedLegals is the pitch page, which is, I think is the best thing ever, because I don't have to think about the different things that I should be sending an investor when everything is here. It does say the raise here is SeedFast. Can you explain to us a little bit what a SeedFast is?
Yeah, when you're looking to raise, there are a few different ways you can do it, right? You've decided your company is ready for investment, and one such way is by doing like a funding round, a kind of priced equity round, kind of like what you've seen in Dragon's Den. I will give you 10% of my company for £200,000, maybe under SEIS, EIS, and maybe we can go into that. But that's a traditional funding round that you might read about on TechCrunch. There are also other ways to raise, such as a SeedFast, right? And what this allows you to do as a founder is it allows you to raise some money ahead of the round without needing to know the exact ins and outs of, let's say, your valuation. Or let's say there's still work to be done. You want to raise people willing to invest, but you're not ready to set the full terms of the deal, who's going to have board seats, what is my company worth, right? All of this stuff. That quite often needs you to get to a certain point to be able to make the right decisions there. And SeedFast's advanced subscription agreements effectively allow you to take in capital ahead of that. The investors can still get their investment into the company. And as a reward for potentially putting their money in a little bit early, they might get some form of bonus or benefit in the round, usually by the form of a slightly discounted valuation relative to the future lead investors when they come in.
Is this a UK thing? Or companies are also registered in the US can do this?
Yeah, they certainly can. So the SeedFast is the kind of brand name for SeedLegals for the ASA, although these agreements exist in a lot of European countries. In the US, it's more traditional and familiar to have something known as a SAFE, was introduced by Y Combinator many moons ago. Simple agreement for equity, right? Because it was all very complex at the time. And so it means you can use them in the US. And even if you're actually needing to raise from a US investor, we even have one like SAFEs written to UK law. So you can even do a hybrid of the two.
Perfect, ideal, just in case I end up in the US someday. So I just uploaded my pitch deck, and I will be adding my vision and problem and solution after that, and my team. And now it's into the data room. What is a data room?
So a very, very valid question. So when investors thinking about investing into a company like Techbible, for example, first of all, they're going to want to see, a pitch deck, and that's what your pitch page is for. Understand the problem, solution, kind of the exciting, world-changing stuff that you're doing, and the opportunity. But they're also going to need to know a little bit about the deal itself. Like, is this company legit? But that's kind of a joke. But also, they do need to know that the company is on the right footing, kind of legally, commercially, all the rest of it. So this is where your data room comes in. This tends to be a slightly more private folder for specifically those you vetted that are truly interested in investing, that are almost doing their due diligence on your company and on the opportunity to make sure it's worth going ahead with. So in your data room, you might have things like your financial model, right? If you're already generating revenue, it'll have that, and then kind of projections off the back of it. And so they can assess that side of the opportunity. They might want to see things like your incorporation documents for your company and information around your share structure and cap table. They'll also want to see that everyone working for the company, like employees, advisors, and even founder yourself as well, that you have contracts in place with the company. You are working for them. You're assigning the IP to the company as that's the thing they're investing in. They basically just want to make sure that everything is as it is.
Okay.
So the information in your data room will hopefully reflect that.
So I just uploaded my financial model here, but I do run a lot of my agreements on SeedLegals as well. That's how I've been managing so far, to hiring people in the UK that are not freelancers. And you did mention cap tables, which is, I think it's in shares, right? I've already set this up
100%.
before. Yeah, I still own
You are
the
the
majority
boss.
of it. I want to keep it this way.
Yeah. They
well,
want to give
really.
free money, like no equity, just free money.
No,
What's
just,
it?
it's fine. What does this mean practically? Like how much, I know I'm going to be giving away maybe 10-15% of the company as I raise, but in reality, what does this mean?
Yeah, so your cap table, right? Capitalization table is basically who owns shares in your company. At the moment, you are the only shareholder in your company. This means when you want to make decisions about the direction of the company, all the rest of it, you go, I would like to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this. And it's all very straightforward. But of course, like when people invest, they're investing for shares, the future of the business. And usually these are voting shares where, they will have a say over some of these matters, right? The exact ins and outs depends on what you negotiate. Obviously, we're here to support with things like this, but the exact ins and outs, like once you take on external investment, is there will be other voices in the room. This can be a good thing. Ideally, you pick the right investors, but obviously you need to bear in mind your interests might not always align.
Be the same.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of dilution, ideally, like based on our data, you tend to see companies dilute by in the region of kind of 12 to 20%. Kind of 15 is the magic number there. It's a handful.
But in pre-seed or seed rounds?
Yeah, the general, like the 15% kind of comes from, like they've worked it through in a whole handful of different startups. I've been investing in startups for like many, many years, going back to the days of like Apple, even like Fairchild Semiconductor in the 70s. These sort of investments have worked out that actually the sweet spot we tend to see is about 15% in your first round, maybe pre-seed, like 15-ish% in your second, and maybe 20 in your third round. This means that you can raise the first like capital to get you going, and then the capital to scale, and the capital to get significant revenue, and still be the majority owner of your company and the founding team. So after 3 rounds, you should still hopefully have over 50% of the shares and have the guiding direction, which, believe it or not, investors do want, because they're investing in you and your team and they want you to succeed and go build awesome things. You need enough say to do that, and also to be motivated enough. Let's say everything was Dragon's Den, 40% in your first round, 50% in your second round. Suddenly, you own 10% of this company. You're putting blood, sweat, and tears into it, putting 100 hours plus a week sometimes into it, and you're doing it all for 5 or 10% of the upside. They find that the sweet spot is just allowing enough of a say, but also keeping everyone motivated throughout.
Yeah, and also there has to be a bit left for as well employees and people that you get on board. Can I do that as well on here?
Oh, you absolutely can, yeah. So, for example, if you go up to the top, we can support with creating share option pools, which is up in the very top right here.
Okay.
Where you can create, first of all, you can give employee shares, and there's ins and outs of that, but you can also create share option pools as well, which effectively allocates a portion of the future shares to be saved for your employees. So that they have a little bit of skin in the game as well, keep them motivated, and you can allow them to kind of vest and all the rest of it. That means that your employees will stick with you, hopefully, and benefit from the upside.
What does this mean? Total number. So if I put 10 options to grant, so your option pool will contain, that represents 90% of the fully diluted share capital. What does that mean?
So what this means is at the moment, your company has 1 share, which actually goes into something else we'd be looking to do.
Yeah, we need to change that, right?
We do need to change that. We can actually do that. Let's look at that one first, I think.
Okay.
It's very common and actually completely normal to incorporate your company with, let's say, 1 share or 10 or 100 shares. But if an investor wants to invest, you can't get fractional shares, at least not in private market. So if an investor wants to invest, they could only buy, let's say, 1 share, which would be 50% in one hit. We want to change that so you have loads of shares in space to give them, there you go, that's absolutely perfect.
That's
actually.
how I change it?
No, this is perfect. So I think you've gone, or it looks like you've already had a little look at the share split. So if you scroll up for a moment, got a share split ongoing. So if you click the button in the top right, this is also one of the options on the top panel. So here we're looking to split our 1 share into 1 million shares. So we can actually complete this now if you wish, or we can sort that before. It's something we'll need to do.
Oh, I'm back here.
Let's go to the share split because we'll want to complete that.
Okay, this one?
Yep. So now you can see we produce, like, not only creating the share split itself, but we'll also create all the documents you need to actually create this, which is all part of our platform. So in order to approve a share split, you need a board resolution, so board sign off from the director of the company, and the shareholders resolution. So we can go for that, and we'll choose the date as today. So let's bring that forward.
Okay. What day is it?
We're in August at the moment.
29th. Oh my God. I can't believe it's already August.
It's almost us.
Okay.
It's kind of scary, isn't it? We're losing summer. And now if you can click confirm. And now on your board resolution, you also see how we can build up documents nice and easily. So if you click the little pencil on the board resolution, what's the date of the board meeting? Hey, thank you for inviting me to your board meeting. And then obviously at the moment, you're the only director. You're not absent, I think, hopefully not. And now you can click done and then click create. So lovely. So here we have the board minutes for Techbible. You can see it's a fully legally drafted document based on your own company information. And now in the top right, you can sign. You might wish to do this offline, all the rest of it. Now we've ticked that box.
Amazing. Perfect. Okay. What is a debt table?
What's a debt table? So your cap table is the people that own shares. Okay. Your debt table sort of has the various people that might have a right over things like shares or debt that don't currently have them just yet. So we've called it a debt table. It doesn't strictly have to be debt on this. This is just the way we've named it. But this is where you'll see things like advanced subscription agreements. So the SeedFasts, right? People have a right to shares, but they technically don't have it until the SeedFast converts into shares when you do the round. So in the meantime, you need a place exactly, or if you have convertible loan notes, someone's giving you a loan, they say we want to convert this into shares later, and that would sit there as well.
Oh wow, you can generate certificates as well.
Yeah, we'll automatically generate all the share certificates for you as you go.
That is amazing. Perfect. Now back to the actual shareable pitch deck. We did talk about the data room. Now we have the investor tracker.
The idea is you can send your pitch page to investors that you have like verified or are interested, all the rest of it, and are eligible to see it.
Yeah.
They can register interest in your company and provide, and they can let you know, and that information will appear there. And also if you want to track everything in one place, then you can also add your own. So if someone says yes via email or WhatsApp and you want to keep it all in one place, you can do it very nicely here. And you can also do some cool things like creating the investment documents for them off the back of it. So it's a good way, you can change people from, whether they're whether they have the amount they've chosen, whether they're like in play or whether they've moved to being like confirmed in the round. So here I am, for example, with a little note, interesting idea. And there you go. Apparently I'm moving for the end of September. So let's get involved.
Amazing. So if I click on create investment, that does immediately create all of the documents that I need. Or what do I need to do here? Yeah,
so you can see actually here, we have a few different options, right? SeedFast and funding rounds we talked about. Generally, SeedFast will be raising ahead of a round. The funding round brings it all nicely together in a nice bow. Like something our CEO likes to say is a funding round is like a bus. You kind of need to get all your investors to agree in the bus in the same place at the same time. Everyone's happy with the destination, and then everyone that's on the bus and the bus leaves. But obviously, that can be time consuming, trying to herd sheep to a degree and organize everyone to get ready at the same time. Whereas the SeedFast is kind of like an Uber or a Bolt or something like that, where, if you want to go from A to B individually, great, you can do that as you go. Let's say it's like an Uber to the airport, where all your friends are going to the airport, the plane leaves at the same time, and that's the funding round that everyone gets on that, and you raise a more substantial capital to kind of move forward.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so if I have SEIS and an investor joins in a SeedFast, even if I don't start a funding round or don't close the funding round until like next year, is that beneficial for them as an investor?
There are certain rules about SEIS, EIS, and SeedFasts, or just any advanced subscription agreement. So generally, once you issue an investor a SeedFast under SEIS or EIS, you need to convert them into shares within 6 months.
Okay.
And that's a rule with HMRC. It's part of the rules. Generally, if it's a loan or debt, then it won't be SEIS or EIS eligible. If you have it outstanding for way too long, they might start looking at it as more of a loan rather than this kind of investment vehicle. Okay. So it needs to be within 6 months. And usually you'll be doing this ahead of that round that you already have planned. And even if the 6 months comes and goes, it very much happens. At that point, we can automatically convert these into shares at what's known as a long stop valuation. So, if no round goes ahead to set the price, we pre-agreed like a baseline long stop price that they'll still get their shares, just so that they maintain their tax relief, which for the investors is usually very important.
Okay, so it is possible to do it even if it's more than 6 months.
You certainly can. You certainly can, yeah. 6 months for SEIS, EIS. You can do it any amount of time afterwards if it's not under those schemes.
Okay, so if I click on
Let's go set one up. So yeah, we're still setting up a SeedFast group. You can see a few options here. If you scroll down, actually, let's have a little look, and we'll go to the SeedFast group that we had a little look at earlier. And then, as mentioned, this is that minimum valuation that we were talking about. So if there's no next funding round, in that situation, you wouldn't want to be negotiating whenever they have to convert, because they can say, oh, the round didn't go ahead. I think your company's not worth anything, so I want 90%. You go, whoa, that wasn't the deal. So here you can arrange a nice point, a nice minimum. Let's say it's something like $1 million. It might be for an early stage company, or maybe like 1.5, 2. It depends on your stage. This is just a baseline that if those 6 months come and go without you raising the kind of qualifying round, then everyone will get shares at hopefully a reasonable valuation. If it's 100K at $1 million, it's about 9-10% dilution, which is all very normal and reasonable.
Let's go for 10.
Go for 10 million.
Let's go. Do you require the consent of previous investors? No.
We do not. No. And thus, whether you have investors or not, this makes things like this easier. Sometimes you need to hop through a few extra hoops.
Board resolution again, so we'd have to sign all of these documents that will be auto-generated, right?
Mm-hmm. Cool, okay.
And then add investments, and then you're sure. I'm going to add you.
Yeah, absolutely. Put me down for 10K. We were speaking earlier. It's a great pitch. Go invest. And make your own financial decisions. As I say, we've got your flex credits. This is all good. So now we can click continue.
At what valuation should the SeedFast convert?
So, as we spoke about before, when you're setting up a SeedFast, you don't specifically need to know what valuation your next round is going ahead at. That's one of the benefits of it versus something like a funding round where you do need to set the price effectively. So there's a couple of options. You can set it at a fixed valuation. You might have agreed with your investor that I'm doing this much at this price. But what you can also do is you can do a variable valuation, which is most common based on our data. And what this says is, in the next round, we'll set what a next round looks like in a moment. But in the next round, we will get shares at whatever that valuation is of the new round. But because I'm coming in before them, I'm in theory taking on more risk potentially. The company's a little earlier, I might be the first person in. So I'd like a little bit of a reward or benefit for taking that early risk.
How is this different from what we set earlier as the minimum valuation?
This is actually the same. I think the one earlier was for the resolutions. So the platform knows how many shares to authorize ahead of time, because you also, in this case, when it's just yourself, you'll sign it off. But if you in the future have a whole bunch of different investors, you can't say, hey, if you invest this much for this, I'll give you this many shares. And then when the time comes to give them the shares, your investors go, we don't approve this. Now you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. You've taken the money, you've likely spent it to grow. The investors are now saying, can I have my shares? And you're being blocked from elsewhere. So before you can go ahead and raise the money, you would need to make sure you have the shareholders' approval to allocate more shares, as it will dilute everyone. But the individual ones can be slightly different. It's just giving the platform an idea of how many shares to authorize ahead of time.
Okay. What defines a new funding round? What an amount raised in a new round?
Yeah. So the idea behind a minimum funding round, or just what is the next round, is it needs to be kind of enough of a funding round for the investor to consider it worth converting. Let's say there was no minimum, like £1 raised was a new funding round for a priced equity. You could ask a friend to invest £1 at a 10 billion valuation, and now all the investors are converting at the same valuation and getting 0.0001%. That's not what they're looking to do. So by setting a minimum, it gives the investor a feel for what you're planning for the actual raise that they're going to join. And it also means that you can set it to, let's say a normal amount might be something like 150K or 200K if that was what you were looking to do. It gives them that kind of safety, if you like. So yeah, company account name will move over all this. I assume we probably don't want your if anyone.
So I'm the one entering the information on behalf of the investor.
Of the company.
Yeah.
No, this is the company. This is where they send you money.
Okay, great. Are there any fees related to this for SeedLegals? Do you take any percentage off of the investment?
Yep, we do indeed. So SeedLegals pricing structure. First things first, we're a big believer in transparency. You can hop on our website. One of the options is pricing, and you'll have all the pricing laid out of our various products. So on the platform. For use of the whole platform, as you've sort of seen, we have a membership. We have Standard and Plus at the moment. For your actual fundraise, we don't believe in charging billable hours for the kind of support to eligible we support. We do have certain things, but this is generally the area that we want to empower you with our support to be able to, go out and raise yourself, be it at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. or, a Tuesday or a Saturday. The fees for the round are 1% of the amount you raise. It's 1% up to the first 500K. From there, it scales
1%.
down. And as you raise more,
Is
and
that
as you
reasonable?
scale, I'd like to believe so.
If I were to hire a lawyer to actually do this stuff and generate all of these documents, I think that would be a lot more expensive.
In most cases, certainly, yes.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
I've seen as much as 2 or 3, 4 times as much. It really depends.
I already have an IP lawyer that already charges me £500 a month, so I know it's more expensive. Have your investors. So this is just for it to generate the necessary documents, right?
Exactly. So all the terms we set up, the idea we want to do is, based on the kind of inputs, we will create the document around that. And also the hope is that as you go through with all the help text and support and everything else, you also know what's going into your agreements yourself, what you're signing, and just the key commercial elements of it.
And of course, throughout all of this process, I can still just ask someone from
absolutely.
for support.
We're on hand all the time.
That's more. Okay, this is very straightforward. And I guess the investor then gets an email with all of the documents needed, right? And that just translates into the raise.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. If you'd like to go to, for example, the SeedFast at the top. So let's create. And the platform has done its magic and created the long form document off the back of the kind of inputs and the information and all the rest of it. So now, you can of course sign in your parts. You've got all the terms. You can update them here nice and easily. And then once you're ready, you can download. And once you're ready, you can, if you click share, first of all, we'll share for review. So if you want to share with myself, and yes, that is my email, you can send me a link to the document and I'll be able to hop on, review, make sure everything looks as I was expecting it. I can sign, you can sign. And then the funds are ready to be transferred. And once you've received all the money, that's the point that we close everything up. Because if you don't get your money, then what's the point of the investment round?
Okay, that's a very straightforward process. It does sound a lot more complicated when you start or before you have this kind of journey mapped out in front of you. Remember that I did not finish my SEIS application. Where is it?
So it'll be in the raise tab at the moment, because we're doing all things related to raise. Great.
I added some investors. I think this was the confusing part where I need 25% already intended of the total raise. So if I was with SEIS, I can raise up to?
With SEIS, you can raise up to 250K. 250K. The 25% isn't something we've directly put in. It's something for HMRC. Yeah. Generally, HMRC, a lot of applications from founders looking to raise their first round. And they want to approve them because they want investment to happen into early stage companies so it can grow. The only thing is, because of the volume that they see, they mainly want to spend their time reviewing companies that are actually going to go on and use their assurance to actually raise the capital. So in part, they prefer not to see speculative applications, prefer to see application of companies that are clearly getting some interest, right? So in this case, it's the chicken and egg. Investors want SEIS before they invest, but also HMRC needs to see investors are ready to invest to grant the SEIS. It's a strange scenario. So what you would typically look to do here is, as you're having the early investor conversations, or maybe you have people within your network that are interested in investing, you ask them, are you provisionally willing? This is not like a hard commitment absolute, but are you willing for us to put you down as interested for a real amount, so that we can go ahead and make sure that once you hopefully go ahead, it's SEIS eligible. Mm-hmm. That's the way you get around with. As I say, this is not a hard commitment to the amount. It's not an absolute necessity they even invest. But they do want to see that people are genuinely interested.
Okay. It's a good thing to do. It's well thought of, HMRC. Something I never thought I'd say before. Great. So you appoint SeedLegals as the agents, you upload your pitch deck, company accounts, and then you guys take care of the rest, right?
That's
So
absolutely right.
I
So
only need to just upload my company accounts.
that's
Okay.
absolutely right. So yeah, we'll take you through a few questions, which then we did a little bit ahead of time. Just some information about your company and what your company's looking to do.
Yeah.
Most startups will be eligible. There are some trades and industries that aren't eligible for SEIS for a variety of reasons. Quite often it's that HMRC don't deem them like risky enough to give tax benefits to the investors. Can be up to 8, usually a week and a half to 2 weeks, and they'll come back and hopefully all is approved. I think our success rate is like 98, 99%. So.
Wow, that's good to know. That's a great number to know. All right. This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Johnny. Look, I have so much clarity now on a lot of things that I need to do to move forward. And this is an amazing platform to just walk me through the process, which is great. This is what we want to see more of legal tech, hopefully with less AI, because I know for sure that someone did check this before.
These are, yes.
Legit.
These are not AI drafted.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And if you want to get in touch with Johnny, I will link down his LinkedIn, so you feel free to do that, and also link down to SeedLegals so that you sign up and check it out yourself. And happy building. Cheers.
Happy building. Cheers.
Bye.